Alright, hello everyone. Today we'll be talking about the difference between a speed Wits deck and the difference between the decks that I've been recommending you, which are usually either 4 speed 2 stam or 3 speed 2 stam 1 power. Why are the decks so different? Why is the JP play saying that Musume is a Wits based game? What's the logic for this? What are the advantages and disadvantages of these two decks? I want to explain all of that to you today because I feel like some information was lost in the translation or because the video was a bit short, because he wanted to make a concise guide, which I think was really good actually. It was a very good concise guide that covered most of the logics here. It's just that this deck is not a universal deck and you need to have good understanding to know when and where to use this deck in. Alright, so let's start off with the first section here, which is what is the difference between team trials and CM. Today there won't be any trivia because I'm still preparing for a very big one, so we won't see it yet. So today is just all knowledge. Musume reviews, alright, under the reference document. Very strong knowledge source. You are able to see here that the priority for team trials in particular is that the Uma's unique and both golds are perfectly consistent. This is very important. You want to get as many points as possible for the team trials, and then the rest of the reviews will be focused towards the champions meeting. So we are going to see many different reviews here. We are going to go straight down into Agnes Tachyon here. Agnes Tachyon is a Pace Chaser level 3. This is for Champions Meet. She's not amazing in the Champions Meet context, but she's perfectly serviceable as a Pace Chaser. Level 3, totally okay. Team Trials number 5, Medium. This is a top tier horse for team trials and a top tier horse for parents number 5, and also a speed debuffer of minus 0.25. So it's a very good horse, right? The reason why she's such a good parent is because she can use her unique and give it to Christmas Oguri later on, making her extremely powerful. We really can't go anywhere in Musume without talking about Oguri, because Oguri is going to dominate our meta for a long time, a long time. Look at Agnes Tachyon over here. Her unique is essentially a stamina recovery of 0.055. Oguri loves that. This stamina recovery is also equal to a gold recovery. If you only have the regular version, the 1 and 2 star, you only have a 0.35 instead, so it's a bit weaker, but it's not that weak. Like a white one is only 0.15, so the unique is still going to be better than a white one. And also we have another one at potential 5, which is another 0.55, and the condition to activate is very easy. Just be a Pace Chaser and it will activate, and for U equal MA square, just go and hit the corner and be roughly in the Pace Chaser's position, and you'll basically be able to prop it, right? So because these golds are so easy to trigger, this is a top tier Uma for Stadium PvP, because this Uma's skills will just trigger on every one of them. So this horse is just absolutely W. Right? For team trials, debuff is consistent, heal and unique are consistent enough, and because you have double golds of recoveries, you get to skimp on the stamina while training her, but she's just not amazing in the CM context. I'll explain later with a graph, so it's a lot easier to understand this part. We are going to move on to Ghost Ship. For Ghost Ship, she is an end closer level 4, she's a team trials level 4, she is a good baseline end closer. You can always win with Ghost Ship, can easily get 50% or higher win rate. It's just that when the end closers are good only. End closers are good only when straight away spurt is a usable skill, which means you need a straight at the end of the race. That's all I can tell you right now, because you don't understand the intricacies of racing. I'm going to make a guide for that one as well, because there's a lot of details to understand when a race happens. It's not very easy to understand. It's a lot of topics to talk about here. But anyway, she's a fine option to bring, but she'll always be outclassed by at least one encloser. This one's very true. Narita Taishin, Mr. CB, all of these horses later on will actually just outclass her. Even Oguri outclasses her. The Christmas Oguri will just straight up go encloser and just beat her most of the time, just cause Christmas Oguri is going to be a monster when she comes out. Her vision buff is a consistent goal for team trials, but does nothing in CM. Now this one is the line I need to explain to you guys. This is the main line that I found helped me to understand the difference between CM and your team trial. CM being champions meet, by the way. The course is clear. All this does is increase your field of view. It does not speed you up, it does not accelerate you, and it does not recover your stamina, making this skill completely worthless for actually winning a race. And yet, you buy it for team trials. Why? Because team trials is a pageant show. all you're doing is just showing that your horse can trigger all of these skills and can perform pretty well. If your horse wins, awesome. But if your horse loses, at least she performed really, really well. And that's really all Team Trials is about. Sometimes you win some, sometimes you lose some, but at the end, as long as your horse does a lot of skill procs, you're able to get a crap ton of score. Alright? And vision skills are basically stuff that actually do nothing. You never ever buy this for Champions Meet, but because in Team Trials it's a score-based game, that's all you need. Right? Just buy a skill even if it does not really do anything, just for the points that it gives you. Downhills for recovery happen more in medium than in longs. This one's quite important to understand as well. The reason why she's not a 5-star is because the other goal skill that she has is actually something that only triggers on downhills, and downhills are not 100%. You will never have 100% of all tracks having downhills. Instead, we have 68% of tracks here in the medium being downhills, and also long we have 57% of the tracks being downhills. So that is the thing to take note of for these two. And basically, you just want to put her in medium if you want to have a higher chance of that goal proccing, or you could also just buy another skill. But at that point, why not just train another horse for that specific medium, right? Oh yeah, I'm gonna have to live with this 68%, that sucks. No man, you just buy it. Eventually you get another medium horse that has maybe a higher tier according to this list here, or has a better consistent medium popping alt, then just use that instead. I mean, this one's a gold skill, sorry. So it has to be like both of your gold skills are easy to pop and your unique is also easy to pop, right? So that's pretty much about Ghost Ship here, and it's one of the main reasons I chose these two examples, because she shows you that you can just buy straight up useless shit as long as it pops. You can buy concentration, for example. That one's not very useful for non-runners, but you buy it for your stadium PvP and nothing else, your team trials. Okay, so that is the basics here for the differences between the two of them. We are going to talk about the good skills for the team trials now, because I'm sure a lot of you are asking, hey, what about the skills? I feel like you never talked about the skills before in great detail. There is a literal list here under the reference document that talks about generic blue skills and generic orange skills. Feel free to look at this one and just buy the appropriate skills yourself. These are very, very consistent stuff, because all they put in the best here are skills that trigger when you turn a corner or when you go in a straight line. That's basically all the requirements that you need to go and find. If it's a straight line, if it's a corner, you straight up buy it. If it's decent enough that you can trigger in a race twice, or maybe has a specific trigger that's not too difficult, then just go and buy it too. Go and refer to all of these things over here. You can also go to the generic green skills section over here, because there's quite a lot of generic greens that you can buy also, and those will basically trigger quite often, right? And take note, you never double buy certain skills. You should only take the first level, because the second level will not give you any extra points. In team trials, it's going to be quantity over quality. Quality over quantity is only for Champions Meet. Alright, so take note of that. Okay, so that is pretty much all of the basics for the two differences. We are now going to go on to the rainbow advantages, right? Because one thing that this deck has over my deck is that the rainbows here are really, really good. Right? You are able to get some really, really powerful rainbows. Let's go to the comparison chart here. It's a lot easier. Basically, if you bring intelligence cards, they all come with additional energy recovery. So the guy is correct. You basically just click the Wits button. Click, 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 click. Recover energy, recover energy, recover energy. And then that's all you need, right? Because when you train Wits, you train speed. When you train speed, you train power. And so your speed, basically getting double source from the Wits and the speed cards, you can easily max the speed. Right? And then after that, you can just focus on the other stats a little bit. Maybe just keep training the speed no matter what, because you want to train the power, because the speed trains the power as a secondary stat, right? So lots of little things that you can do here. Just need to make sure you hit 1200 speed, 1200 intelligence, and then a very strong amount of power, maybe like 800-ish power, 600-ish power. You can inherit the power if you're going for short or medium races. Short or mild races. But then what happens if we go to medium or we go to long, and our horse is not exactly a horse that has the recoveries that we need in order to survive? Namely, Agnes and Super Creek are horses that have uniques that recover. The rest of them don't really have stuff that recovers them. So if you were to take someone like Daiwa Scarlet, for example, someone without wits, someone with only 10% speed bonus, harder to max her intelligence, and guts is something we don't really care about. She doesn't have any other recoveries except one white recovery and one gold recovery. This one is just the weaker version of the race planner, so it doesn't count. This is basically the gold skill, this is basically the white skill. So we need to compensate if we are using this deck by getting even more stamina recoveries. So that's not something that you can realistically go and do easily for a new player, especially since a lot of you don't understand what is inheritance and what not yet. It's very, very tricky to understand everything about Uma Musume. But basically, when you are doing this, you need to also check which cards you need to go and get in order to get certain skills so that you can meet the stamina requirements. Because high wisdom is good for team trials. You are able to trigger all your skills, means you're going to get a lot of points. So yes, we do need good skills, we need good universal skills, but we also need the stamina, since we are going for a strat that specifically does not build any stamina, right? So yeah, with these cards over here, I want to tell you that none of them have any recoveries at all. So you have to kind of find it elsewhere. We can look at Daiwa Scarlet though, because Daiwa Scarlet does come with some stamina recoveries, but they are only for pace chasers and mediums, and you only can get one of them from guaranteed events. For this one, you need to support hidden gamble. So I'm going to teach you a little bit about hint pruning here. Basically, how the hints work is that they rotate and do a roulette here, right? Roulette, 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 roulette. Where do I land today? Lands here. Alright, unlucky. You didn't hit the stamina recovery that you're looking for up here. What happens is that you have to buy this. If you buy this, you remove it from the roulette, which means that it will now look at the others instead. And then you just keep doing this until you hit the stamina recoveries you want. You don't need to hit all of them, you just need to hit enough of them to meet the stamina requirements. Because people who use debuffers in team trials are trolling, right? Debuffers are not meant to be used in team trials, they are meant to be used for champions meets. Okay, so basically we are only needing to pass the recommended amount of stamina, which you can also find in the reference document, right? So with that, we will basically go to the speed cards right now, because a lot of the intelligence cards do not have the recoveries you're looking for. The two notable ones that I know of right now is Kita, Special Week, Narita, and King Halo. King Halo gives you one sprint recovery and one corner recovery, which is okay. Sprint recovery is worthless, so it's like -1, but it's from a hint. Narita Taishin is end closer recoveries, you can get 2 of them. The last one I want to talk about is Lay Low. Lay Low is not real because it's Iron Will but white. So it's more useless than Iron Will, so please do not go and buy that one. She only has 2 from hints, so you have to hint farm for that one. You also have Kita-san Black, you also have Special Week. These 2 are consistent, because Kita-san, you're going to click her anyway, so the exclamation mark is going to be very oftenly clicked. You can get straight away and corner recovery. You can even get these, by the way, from an in-game event, where you are meeting that crazy lady with the sunglasses and then the red shirt. She can give you straight away recovery and corner recovery on the second option. She will give you both of these skills if you pass the check. The 4th one gives you Charming, so the second one is a lot better, right? If you need the recovery. If you don't need the recovery, then the 4th one is better. Unless you maxed out your bonds, then just click whatever the hell you want at that point. It doesn't really matter. Okay, Special Week, another very, very good card because it gives you Gourmand for pace chasers. Like imagine you use Agnes Tachyon with this card, you basically have 1 gold, 2 gold, 3 gold, done. Stamina completed already. You don't even need to think anymore with these characters. That's why the Special Week card is really, really quite decent if you want the skill, just to make your stamina life easier. Of course, you can just buy another skill from somewhere else or whatnot, so that one's really up to you, right? So it's not as easy as it looks, right? It's not just speed and then int and then click speed in, speed in, speed in. That one's overgeneralization, but I think there's also a language barrier problem, so you can't really explain it too well. But basically, we need to find the skills we're looking for. If you're willing to cut out some cards, you can always go for stuff like Vodka, you can always go for stuff like Super Creek, because they each give a good gold stamina recovery, which is very universal and very, very usable for team trials. So if you want to cut out one card for that, you can just use those 2 options. Don't have to be high LB, just 0 LB just for the skill is already good enough. Alright, so that's something to go and consider, right? Okay, so that's pretty much the requirements for activating this kind of strategy. You need to find the stamina skills that you want, you need to know where you're getting them from, and then you need to know which hints you need to hit. It's not so simple. I know a lot of players who are new, they really have no clue what's happening. So I did not recommend this strat to you guys because it's not as easy as it looks. This one is a lot easier because all you do is click speed and stamina for the rest of your life, and you will hit the recommended requirements much easier compared to the other one. And once you do a few runs, you get more comfortable. This deck is very, very easily transitioned into this one in the future, and you can even use this kind of loadout for your shots and miles with no problems at all due to very, very low stamina requirements. It's just medium and longs that's a bit problematic because some horses do not have natural recoveries inside of them. Okay, so that's pretty much the initial part. We're now going to talk about champions meets in particular. Today I'm going to teach you guys a little bit about racing in general. Right, we're not going to go too deep. We're going to just talk about how important stamina is. Right, today is going to be Agnes Tachyon versus Gold Ship, the Red Stripe herself. Right. For Agnes Tachyon, we're going to give her these the Japanese guys build, right? Just give her a bunch of stamina recoveries. and that will basically be enough for her to clear a medium, right? This is the recommended amount, because this one's a gold recovery, this one's a gold recovery, and this one is 1.5, 1.5, 1.5. So you need to hit 5.5, so you need about 3 to 4 of these whites, and they will equal 1 gold recovery. If I wanted to be safe, I could just straight up just add 1 more recovery just to hit another gold recovery over here. For the gold ship, on the other hand, we're going to go with just 850 stamina. Actually, no, I want to show you guys something here. I want to show you guys a 400 stamina gold ship. I want to show you guys what happens when your horse crashes and burns. Then you will understand how come your horse dies near the end of races, right? So the first one here is going to be a clear loss. Your horse did not train any stamina. She's dead. She freaking died. What happened is that you just run it down here. This diagonal line is the HP consumption. We're going to simulate out of 500 sample races, and we're going to see who's going to win or lose based on the lengths over here. Alright, so for HP consumption, you can see Gold Ship. Gold Ship is the red one because she dies a lot faster. Right, so she just drops, and she dies here. You can see a clear drop in this speed straight line over here. Right, just straight down. And that straight down cost Gold Ship to lose by 26 horse lengths on average within 500 samples over here. You can see the distribution chart over here. Basically, Gold Ship died, literally died. 26 horse lengths. 26 horses are in front of her. That's how far behind she is. It's like Urara in Arima Kinen at that point, right? So Gold Ship straight up is goner. She's not going to play the game at this point, right? Now we're going to add a little bit more of stamina here. We're going to go for 850 because that's usually the stamina requirement for mediums. And now you can see Gold Ship become positive. On average, Gold Ship is actually going to win with about 2.96 lengths and only with 3 skills plus the stamina requirement. Okay, let's drop the wits. Maybe the wits is too high, right? The wits is too high. We drop to 400. On average now, she has a 2.48 lengths with occasional losses of minus 9.82. So she can still lose. It's never 100% in Uma Musume. You always have a chance. It's just that on average, she's very likely going to win by these lengths over here. So that is the highest probability that you got, right? So Uma Musume number 1 here is going to lose to a Gold Ship that has higher raw stamina. Because why? Skill point difference. The thing is here, Gold Ship, she invested in stamina and power and speed, the core stats, and she bought skills that are really good. This is a straight away spurt, it gives acceleration. This is the one that the GP guy was talking about. That's why it's so important, because it gives acceleration for chasers, one of the rare sources of it. So that's why it's so important. And Gold Ship is going to use this to kind of push herself a little bit more. The acceleration timing is horrendous, by the way, it's not that good, but basically it's enough to push her in front of this horse that only bought recoveries. Of course, this is a bit fake because she didn't buy any other speed stuff, but you have to think, how much does it cost to buy all of this, as well as Maestro? My Gold Ship spent basically the Maestro's currency to buy curvature and spend 1 of this to buy this. And that means Gold Ship can actually buy 2 more whites here if I wanted to, right? So that's the difference between a CM horse and a full-on speed wit horse. The speed wit horse is very likely to lose to an actual horse that was trained for this specific track, right? Especially if I add in more unique inherits, because unique inherits are not really something you focus on when you go into your team trials, because they are usually very expensive. They're very expensive. So you actually want to go wide rather than go big. So in CM, it's the opposite. You want to go big rather than go wide. You want the very, very good skills in order to win the game. And that's why for Gold Ship here, we are really looking at a horse with only 850 stamina is able to beat this kind of horse here who had to buy all of her recoveries with the same amount of skill points. In fact, Gold Ship has spent less skill points than this Agnes Tachyon over here, right? So skill point difference is very, very important. Another thing to talk about here is about the consistency issues of buying more recoveries. This is something that you can actually visualize using this chart over here. I will post everything in the comments, or sorry, not comments, description, so feel free to go and look at it later. But basically, this chart over here is a calculator for stamina. If I were to do something like Agnes Tachyon, I put 1200, 800, 1200, I put her as a pace chaser position, exactly the same as the Uma later over here. I go down, I put 3 non-unique recoveries, white recoveries, and 2 gold recoveries over here because that's what she has. She has Arc Maestro, Swinging Maestro, as well as the U equal MA square. And with all of this, the simulator still says that we actually need even more stamina or guts. Right, so that simulation over there shows that she kind of passes that requirement, while this one here is going to tell us that actually we don't have enough to actually make full potential of the horse to maintain our top speed for the entire time. And that's because of this skill proc rate as well as this rushing rate. Right now I turn rushing rate off, but if I were to turn it on, basically what happens is that when you activate the rush status, you actually burn more stamina, and so you actually need even more stamina than this in order to survive rushing status. Another thing is 92.5% proc rate at wisdom 1200. If I drop this to 1100, you can see the change over here. It will drop down to 91.82 and rushing rate will increase. So wisdom controls this part over here, right? So we want to have high wisdom for our skill proc chance, but it will never be 100%. Never ever will it be 100%. So 1200 is only going to go up to 92.5%. So the thing we're going to talk about here is probabilities now. If you don't know what probabilities is, don't worry, I'll just dumb it down for you. It's essentially something like this. We basically have a... Hold on, I'm just going to refresh this page. Okay, so we're going to do 0.925 here. 0.925. This is basically 92.5%, as you can see in the in this sheet over here. Sorry, the Shadowverse, 92.5% here, right? So we're going to just take that. That's the proc chance of one skill. So the second skill, what's the probability of both of them procking? You just multiply, right? Okay, we don't plus, we just multiply, and then boom. So that's the chance of 2. So it's 85.56%. And then you do it again. And then again, and then again. And that's the number of times you need the skill to proc. And so it becomes less and less and less consistent. And as you saw just now, when you don't have enough stamina, you die, right? You just straight up plummet. The simulator is very kind. I think it has actually given the odds of proccing all of these skills a very, very high chance. So that means you're basically guaranteed to survive this. But that's only assuming everything triggered, which I think this sheet here does not accommodate for. It actually applies a little bit of percentage chance of the skill not applying. So that's something to go and take note of, right? That means you actually need to buy even more recovery. So let's say we bought a 4th recovery for this one, all right? 4th recovery, we still need a little bit more, still need a just tiny bit more stamina. Boom, go 5 recoveries. Okay, now we are borderline ready. Borderline ready. If we ever hit rushing, if we ever get debuffed, we are dead in the water, right? So yeah, as you can see here, it's very, very RNG. And this RNG only helps because it's team trials. In team trials, as long as you are able to activate all these skills, you are able to get a lot of score. So in actual CM, please don't do this. In Champions Meets, if you do this, you are dead. You are literally going to die. Especially when you even consider the demon herself, the evil nature herself, right? Evil nature. Because evil nature has this debuff over here. Mystifying Murmur. Oh my god. Minus 3% recovery. Hey, go and get me another 200 stamina to survive me. Otherwise, die. Alright? If I just put this on Nice Nature, you can see Agnes Tachyon die even more, by the way. I mean, it's hard to see here, but Agnes Tachyon died. But yeah, it's really, really damn painful. Really, really damn painful. Right? So that's why in CMs, do not bring this strat. Do not bring this strat. The only time you can bring this strat is when it's a short or mild CM, then that's totally fine, because the stamina requirements for that one is not that amazing. But for mediums and longs, you are going to die if evil nature whispers into your ear with this debuff over here. And I think she has a second one also. I can't remember which one it was. Is it All Seeing Eyes? I think it's All Seeing Eyes. So yeah, she just nukes you again. Then kaboom, she's gonna win a lot harder, right? So yeah. Anyway, that's going to be it, I think, for this entire lecture here. The only things to talk about in summary is that this deck is very good for short and mild and not so good for medium and long. Do not bring this deck for any medium or long CMs, but if it's short or mild, feel free to do something like this. It's totally fine. It's just that you only really need to snipe specific skills in order to make the horse win. You can go to the reference document and search how to make Umas win, and that will be a very good guide for you. This deck here is a lot easier. You don't have to go and hunt down every single recovery skill that you want, and you are able to just get the stat lines required, and it reduces the RNG, right? Because when my Go ship has the required amount of stats compared to someone that needs to RNG proc every single one of her recoveries, who do you think is more likely to win the race? I think it's the one that actually does not require any more stamina to survive the race, and actually is able to spend all that excess points into stuff that actually helps her to win for position keep, to win for the end game, to win for the straightaway spurt if this track was actually a good track for it, or just win for the unique Marzensky inherit ultimate. There's a lots of different things that actually help the horse to win. So team trials wise, go ahead with the deck, no problems at all. But then when you come to the real shit, the real Champions Meet, please at least try this deck, because this deck is going to be a lot more consistent than this deck over here. But the JP guy is right. You can actually play the Wits base game for team trials only, right? And also for any shorter ones, right? Okay, so that's it. Thanks guys for watching. I have not much else to say here. If you need any other questions, feel free to comment down below and I'll try my best to answer them in the future. Alright, Uma is a Wits based game for the shorter distances, but for the longer ones, you're going to need to plan a little bit more for those distances. So it can be, but it's a bit harder for longer, and so recommended is just go for the core stats, because the core stats will never ever go wrong, ever, right? So for newbies, this is definitely something I would avoid and just focus on this one for now, especially if you do not have the right cards in the first place. Either strat is either more accessible or less accessible to you. Okay, that's it. Thanks guys for watching. I shall see you guys next time. Bye bye.